blues.
Must have been a sad day, huffing in the heat of the Lord. Must have been a sad day when the goddess fate drew her final sword. The North Carolina boys cried on the day Posey Aurora died. And he died when he was alive, when he sold his soul, when he sold his fiddle and bow. Dogs barking at the sky, must have been a sad night when the money and the whiskey ran dry. Tears from Charlie Poole, rambling neath the lonesome moon. But what can a poor boy do when the world is against you and it's coming for you? You're just huffing the heat of the Lord. They used to call it the power of the internet, and used to try to resist using it. I met a fella called Dolphus Ramseur, who was a retired tennis player. He was only 33, but he was a really good tennis player. But he couldn't get, and he became a teacher of tennis, and he had huge interest in music, old-time music, roots music. And about 1989 I got a phone call. It was when he just gave up tennis. I lived in Timey, and I clicked my answer phone, and it was this American number. The answer phone I thought was one of my mates. When he was up, it says, "Hello, my name's Dolphus Ramseur. I want to come over there. I like Echo the Bunny Man, and I want to." He was like this mad. I thought it was my mate when he was up, so I just actually rubbed it off. And I met him about 3 years ago through actually Graham gives me a book about the North Carolina Ramblers, and we planned a trip playing porches and ice cream parlours and just like a little organic trip through North Carolina and through the mountains.
From the dogs of war, all of them were chosen, all had been before. Jesus and the Buddha met along the road, holding separate pieces of Arjuna's gifted bow. You can bet your life you will go there, to the lilac tree, and you can bet your life you will know there, at the lilac tree. In place, all God's children go. Town's fence and to Caesar, and the man who sweeps the road. The lilac tree's the lung of heaven, it's a door within a door, where every soul is sacred, every soul has been before, soul has been before, soul has been before. You can bet your life. You will go there, you will go to the lilac tree, to the lilac tree, to the lilac tree. You can bet your life, you will bet your life, you will know that, you will know at the lilac tree. You can bet your life, you will know that.
Ancestors entwine in the now with our relations.
It it was interesting planning through email. We spent 6 months planning the trip through email, and it was amazing. Like when I got there, it just went smooth. It was turning stones. It was going interacting with people that hadn't got the respect that maybe they deserved.
Now I've been on around this whole wide world.
Spray is where he's Charlie Poole's family were migrant cotton mill workers, and his family moved to a little town called Spray in North Carolina, and he grew up working in the cotton mills as a young man. And his brothers, they were rough and ready lads, and I suppose music then, a bit like when the punk thing was happening, there's a way out, there's a way out. So Batman and Robin are on the way down. That's little round eyes Ray. He's only about 4 stone. You'll see him when he comes in the door in about 2 minutes. And Stan Laurel.
Well, the two that I ended up singing, one of them was a variation on a song I already do, which comes from Furry Lewis, about Casey Jones, and Furry recorded that in about 1925, and Charlie recorded Milwaukee Blues, which has a very similar structure and melody in 1927 or 28, something like that. So there were probably, musical things bouncing backwards and forwards there. He'd obviously heard the Furry Lewis recording somewhere along the line and then rehashed it into another song. I'd heard Charlie Poole before by, when rattling through Dave Peabody's record collection. Dave has a collection of, some 5,500 or 6,000 albums, and it's quite a bit to wade through. But I'd come across Charlie in there before, it was just Martin bringing the project along, and did I want to do it? And the answer, of course, was yeah. Sounded like fun.
Been living with Charlie Poole now and learning these songs probably about 4 years altogether.
First hooked up with Martin, it would have been early 1987, at the Jumping and Hot Club at the Bridge when it was at the Bridge Hotel. You know, Shipcote got me down to do an opening for Martin. I just struck up from there. You know, within a week we'd gone into the studios there in the Clooney, you know, and demoed a couple of things within weeks and worked off and on with him ever since. You know, Martin's usually fairly, you know, he can be very direct about what he wants, but within that, you know, you got a lot of freedom. That's why I've always loved touring with him. You know, it's a, you know, every night it's an on your toes performance, because with Martin arrangements, what are they? You can go any which way in the middle of a song. You know, it's quite interesting.
Nice little song. I think I'm going down to the Laguna. There's a lady boy down there for me. I need to get some more lyrics. On a musical sense, I like exploring that music to learn to play and feel it.
Yeah.
Like ragtime and blues.
You find it easy to play?
It's great because, I mean, you can learn three. It's like on a ukulele, you know, you learn 3 chords, and you can join in.
Yeah, yeah.
And to me, that's. I started off at Kitchen where there was a bit of a precious songwriting, lyrical cleverness thing, and I didn't want that, because to me, if you can write a song's to be transmitted. It's not to isolate somebody. It's like, I can't see the point in all this whittling and isolating, doing things that other people can't do. I see them as gymnasts.
Yeah, sure.
So for me, if you can do something simple, then you can transmit it and people can share it and enjoy it. You know, that's what I like about the Charlie Poole songs. They're simple, you can pick them up quick.
Yeah, yeah.
It can be seen as simple in structure, but it was actually, you know, some of it's quite tricky. Down in Georgia on the train, you know the roads are getting muddy and the leaves are getting damp. Gotta get a freight train to leave this town, 'cause they don't allow no hobos hanging around, just hanging around, hanging around. Now they don't allow no hobos hanging around. I left Atlanta for the break of day, but the fireman said, boy, you got to pay. I said, I got no money but upon my shoes. I wanna go west, I got the Milwaukee blues. I got the Milwaukee blues. Got the Milwaukee blues. I wanna go west, I got the Milwaukee blues. Bill Jones said before he died, fix the road so the bows can ride. When they ride, they will ride the rods. Put all trust in the hands of God, in the hands of God, in the hands of God. Well, they'll put all their trust in the hands of God. Bill Jones said before he died, well, there's 2 more roads that I want to ride. Fireman said, what can they be? He said the Southern Pacific and the Santa Fe, and the Santa Fe, and the Santa Fe. Southern Pacific and the Santa Fe.
For me it was because I play with the Hot Licks Cookies, and it wasn't
Similar stuff.
It was very, very similar stuff to what we normally play, only the different vibe was, you know, ours is more blues, whereas Charlie Poole stuff was, although it was ragtime progressions, it was much more country.
Yeah.
It was fantastic for me to actually play with that, with a band like that. Well, you know, he knows what Charlie Poole needed. Charlie Poole didn't have a double bass player, but I think it was needed in that the player that we've done. I think it just gives the bottom end of the sound. Yeah. I think you just, as long as you can feel the you know, the string band sort of vibe, that's mainly it.
first met Martin when Graham and I used to busk in Newcastle, and I was sort of introduced to this up-and-coming singer-songwriter. And I didn't really have anything more to do with Martin for 3 or 4 years when he suggested he would like the Cookies along on a tour. So that would have been about 1990. Well, they suited my guitar style reasonably well, but some of the turnarounds, to be semi-technical about it, were a little bit, quite erratic. Not what I was used to, but it didn't take much. So mostly the vocals took some learning, you know.
I felt confident in the little band because we've all played together in one way or another.
So it was just a lot of fun, and all the players had experience, so as we came together, you know, we didn't try too hard at all to get to sound like the original arrangements. You know, we just got hold of the song and then saw what the group produced, you know, and tried not to tighten it down too much. You know, they're all the sort of players who know when to back off, when to come in, you know. A lot of it was like left really quite spontaneous, and that was done deliberately in order to keep the old time feel of, you know, I mean, you could have take stuff like that and arranged it out of existence. Yeah, you take the essential essence and life out of it at that point.
Yeah, it was an achievement just getting the players on stage, let alone playing. It was hard not to actually play a tune while people were, you know, on stage, because we're on stage for 2 hours and I think we played about 13 tunes. It was quite strange, having to stand there and not do anything. It was, I got quite into it by the second year. Definitely a worthwhile experience, you know. But, you know, I like working with Martin and everyone else involved. It was only really Jim Hornsby I hadn't played with before. And I'd been looking forward to that anyway. So
you know, it just made for an enjoyable experience all around. You know, and full marks to the actors. They had a murderous script to learn. There was just so much information in it.
what senses or howl I keep, no matter what creed or foul I keep, no matter what soulish senses see, I will follow the dream. understand now how hard it is for actors and to memorise scripts and all that.
So you were planning to rob me?
Look at this.
I've worked as a part of drama before, you know, doing the incidental music for drama before, and I enjoy it. You know, it's nice. It puts the music in entirely another context. Yeah, well, my wife is an actress and is Bristol Old Vic trained, and so I've spent a lot of time around theatre over the last 15 years. You know, so I enjoy my theatre.
I've done musical unplannings before. Actually, I did one back in '93, which was Story of the Industrial Revolution, where again at that time it was a folk band. We were on the folk band and we involved actors. So it's not that a departure, although I've been writing for the theatre now for the last 5 years, and we've actually got a theatre of our own in Scarborough, which one of the actors is a partner. So no, it's not a great departure. What is a departure is the fact that we've actually got a nice big posh theatre to do it. And that is a departure, working on this scale. So, and having proper lighting and having proper decent AV, you know, having actually, well, we didn't do it on a budget because we've done it out of our own pocket, but just having the facilities to do it is slightly different.
You know, there must have been some very funny episodes in the lives, even if you took a bit of dramatic license with it. You know, staged a scrap. You know, it's like, because fights weren't uncommon at the, at the hoedowns. You know, fights weren't uncommon at all.
In those days, bootleggers would build their stills right next to the state line, for obvious reasons. This one went a stage further. He built his premises right over the damn state line itself. Well, the guy decides to throw a party, and he invites Charlie and Posey down to play. Just as the place is hopping, the cops, who had no jurisdiction there, bust the place up. One of them grabs Charlie and tells him he's under arrest. Charlie just smashes the banjo over his head.
That policeman was wearing Charlie's banjo around his neck like some sort of wooden necktie.
Well, then one of the cops got a little nasty and he drew a gun on Charlie. Charlie grabs it and the two of them wrestle across the floor. The cop gets to the end of his gun in Charlie's ear, just about to pull the trigger when Charlie knocks it away.
It went off so near to Charlie's mouth, but the explosion chipped his front teeth and left his lips bloody and red.
Yes.
Charlie went wild and he grabbed the next thing to him that just happened to be Posey's fiddle.
Well, the way I heard it, Posey's grabbed it right back again and took on his heels and ran straight out of the front door.
He even left his stick behind.
It's just as well, because that's what he used to hit the cops with. He whirled that stick around on the cop's side of the window until eventually he managed to get out of the front door and straight into a car where Posey was waiting for him.
And they drove right up to my place in the mountains, and that's where he stayed until he cooled off with them. Eventually, I managed to persuade him to go back to Spray and hand himself in.
I remember that, because when Charlie's got into the court, well, the judge asked him if he could use a good lawyer.
And Charlie replied, no, but I sure could use a few good witnesses.
Oh, I remember the judge fined Charlie for that.
Yeah, $100. I know, because I paid it.
They didn't have much money, but some of them didn't have high expectations either. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
Making music, and some of them were just quite happy to get by. And, exactly, and as long as he had a drink and a few others like him, and they were playing with friends they liked.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how some of the styles developed, and that's how the tunes was passed on.
Yeah.
And it was around about that time when Charlie Poole was on the go that you had the Carter family, and like so Jimmy Rogers were paving the way, and they paved the way for country music.
Mm-hmm.
But when you listen to a lot of the old Carter family songs, a lot of those was just old-timey Appalachian tunes.
You'd have probably heard stuff by the Carter family and Jimmy Rogers, because they were the biggest names in that era. But I mean, Well, there were record labels, so it was the Depression, so I wouldn't imagine that he's ever recorded with them, because he come from North Carolina.
It would be considered quite successful, but I mean, it was at a time when recording was just starting, and when the 30s came on, it nearly ruined them, didn't it?
There is a line of thought, and it's actually mentioned in the play, and it is noticeable that his voice in the Paramount recording is different to the ones in the Columbia. And we think he did that to disguise himself so he wouldn't get sued, he wouldn't get hauled over the coals and everything. So that is probably the answer. And again, on the Brunswick mums, he muffled his voice. It might have been just that he was pissed. I mean, we know he drank a gallon of liquor on recording session. I mean, a gallon of bloody liquor. It's like 8 bloody pints. Show me anybody standing that can drink 8 pints of whiskey and still do a recording session.
I think that was common in the early 1900s. The blues guys as well would hide, because I suppose there was a lot more to lose if you had a sound, or you had a, it was there'd be someone who would take it. I know Mance Lipscomb used to travel miles to see Blind Blake on the street, and he had a photographic memory, and he would just stand in the audience and he'd go home and he'd have it like. So I think there was bits of that, the competitive thing, where now it's probably a bit sad to do that kind of thing, but it was probably a matter of life and death, your livelihood depend on it. Like.
I mean, funnily enough, it was bizarre because I can relate to the sort of heart attack shit. I mean, I had a heart attack halfway through the production of this. And a mate of mine, because I was a roadie with the Clash as well, and a mate of mine, Joe Strummer, he died of a heart attack. And it suddenly dawned on me that Joe Strummer's life was Charlie Poole's life. And different people, different country, different periods, but exactly the same thing. The excess, rock and roll, and in a way Charlie was the first rock and roll.
The only thing that Charlie Poole did, apart from having no bass, is he drank himself to death, and Martin's still alive. But other than that, I think Martin is 41 now, and Charlie Poole made it to 39, so he's on borrowed time.
It's another story of just how, no, we didn't invent it all. These people were rogues and lunatics long before rock and roll started throwing TVs out hotel room windows, and there's some pretty extraordinary lives dotted around in there, It's nice to be part of the ongoing tradition of it, though, that something of it keeps on going and is carried along.
I remember the book, the Charlie Poole book, coming. Well, I remember it from probably mid-80s, but I think it came out in 78. And when I read the book, he reminded me so much of Martin.
Well, what happened was Shippy gave us a book about the North Carolina Ramblers, and I couldn't stop reading it. And there was a section in there when Posey Aurora sold his fiddle. So I just instantly wrote a song about that, and I sent it to Dolphin, and he's a real turnstone. He found the Roarers, who were his descendants, Doug Roarer and Kinney Roarer, who were in the late 50s now, early 60s. And he got the song to them, and they loved it. They took it home.
Was a huffing in the heat of the floor. All the sad
just how feel the heat of the Lord. On a sad night, there was dogs barking to the sky. On a sad night, when the money and the whiskey ran dry. What takes from Charlie Poole is a North Carolina blues. What can a poor boy do when the word is against you and it's come for you? Just huffing your puffing the heat of the Lord. You're just huffing the heat of the Lord. Those old ribs chewed and pegs tell a tale of the money poses sick for his legs. Selling all the liquor he could to the North Carolinas, muscle and blood. North Carolina, the boys cry. All the day pose roar and die. And he died when he was alive, when he sold his soul, when he sold them fiddle and bows.
In the old-timey music, I feel one of the things which attracts me as well, and a lot of people, is how pure it is. As was said before, it hadn't been tampered with. It was just people who are just playing music because of the love of music, and it was a pastime that they could afford, really. You know, people didn't have a lot of money, and when you listen to this old-time music, it crosses over to blues, as well as the old-timey music, the mountain music, which people call it. And you've got the string band music, which Charlie Poole was in with that. And then after that music, it developed into bluegrass music.
I don't think Charlie Poole played any bluegrass. Yeah, it's old-timey music. It's, you know, it's mainly string band music. And bluegrass to me is like Bill Monroe and three-part harmonies.
When Bill Monroe, he was called the father of bluegrass music. But before you had bluegrass music, or before then, you had brother harmonies. You had the Delmore brothers, and that was when Bill Monroe and Charlie Monroe came in. Then that was his brother, and then it was just from there, the bluegrass music. You fall from there, and of course you had recording techniques. So the reason why some of these other guys weren't as popular is because the facilities weren't there for them to record, and people with the 30s going on, people hadn't the money to spend on records. As it was documented in the play, his sales went down drastically as the 30s came about.
I mean, he did a lot of recordings, you know. I mean, he's, as well as his string band stuff in North Carolina, he was a bit of a songster, so he did ballads and stuff like that. So
didn't he?
Yeah, I mean mainly it was banjo, fiddle, and guitar, and then, you know, when it got more popular, say in parallel with the Daintees, you know, he got a piano player in his. You've probably noticed on the story in the play, but he also recorded with whoever they had in the recording studios. You know, they used to go in and do it. I mean, this isn't your Sun Records, you know.
Especially since World War II. You know, when there are a lot of Americans, you know, in Australia. You know, during the war, it was all based out of there. Which is probably how it happened. Yeah, the Pacific War, and but even prior to that, in the 20s and 30s, you know, country music and western swing was like big time. You know, and in Australia there was steel guitar orchestras, harmonica orchestras. There was all sorts of things going on, and the country flavour of things is still the biggest selling music in Australia.
As a harmonica player, I suppose when I heard Larry Adler playing chromatic. But also when I was a kid I was fascinated by the banjo, the sounds of the banjo, and just hearing it on the radio. But I never sort of keyed into that. I never really learned to play the banjo, which is strange. And I didn't become a guitar player until I couldn't find the right sort of guitar player to accompany me harmonica playing, so I decided to pick it up myself.
I learnt the first chords on the guitar when I was 6 off my elder sister Patricia, Patty. She was involved in the folk revival stuff of the early 60s, you know, so it would have been 1961 first picked up a guitar. You know, I've been doing it ever since.
I've always thought of myself more as a harmonica player. And my harmonica playing's gone from sort of R&B blues through old time stuff to currently playing bits of jazz and mostly chromatic.
I got into the old time music through listening to pop music, then listening to soul music, then listening to blues. If you listen to like country music, you can go back. You know, if you listen to rockabilly, you can hear the exciting string band music in there, the influence of it. And I was well into rockabilly as a late teenager, you know, so I'm well aware of country, that kind of country music since for many, many years.
I know when I got into punk music, it was a way out, you know. I did the van driving thing and all that, and I just wanted a way out. I just wanted to survive and sustain myself, and it was terrifying, you know, careers interviews, and so music, punk gave everybody the chance to, the confidence to have a go. Yeah. I think maybe Skiffle had that wave as well, where it was everyone's art form. Suddenly it didn't have to be like some kind of wizard, you know, to learn to do it.
I think Martin Stephenson is quite different, because he's wanting to broaden his ideas and broaden his understanding of music, and Charlie Poole was kind of, he was a bit of a different spirit altogether, really, in that way. But I mean, as musicians, I mean, they both used to collect good musicians around them, and that's what made the sound.
He was I would say a songster. He was probably a bit of a Shane MacGowan in his day. He was selling records, really avoiding the police, and he lived a life, you know. I mean, it's quite a hollow industry. When I came into this for a life path thing, you know, and then you meet people who are supposedly musicians and all that, and really, if you zap them with the civil servants, you know, they just have business plans, and where the other folk on the road is a life path.
I think when Martin asked me to get involved in this project, he was thinking back to the times when I played the sort of the bass drum, sort of drum chants, and that's what he wanted. Now I've gradually moved away from that. Yeah. I moved into, like I said, the sort of more picking, the more mellow picking style, and then a little bit of maybe early blues and a little bit early jazz influence stuff, you know. So it was going back a bit more to my roots to do this play.
My wife went away and she left me out in this wide world alone. Sadness and gladness she left me. She left the dog on. Oh no, that's Friday. I see the way the tears
funny enough, a lot of the people that have influenced me the most have been people I've known. There were people in Sydney who influenced me heavily. There was a guy called Martin Stephenson, who's one of the finest sort of folk and blues and ragtime pickers I've ever met in my life. Kevin works as a shipwright, he restores old boats. You should hear the bastard pick. Another guy called Jimmy Jarvis, electrician Jim. Phenomenal, folk and blues guitar picker. And there were other influences like Tommy Emmanuel was a big influence. He's over here now, and I've known Tommy since we were both 21. He was born in April '55. I was born in November '55. So we're contemporaries, and known each other since. Tommy was just about to have his 21st birthday when we met, so we're only sort of 20 years old, something like that. So that's a while ago now. And another guy called Kirk Larange, who's a fabulous, guitar player and an astounding bottleneck player. Really stunning.
And I started off listening to Zappa and Beefheart and stuff like that. My youth leader was Twisted. So I ended up on that one, and then I started researching, and you just kind of research and go back. But when punk came along, that was our music, I suppose. I don't know how you feel. So Richard Hill and the Voidoids, to me, is just as important as Charlie Poole. That was done on my first trip to North Carolina. We just used mini discs, and everything we did, we just recorded everything on mini disc, and then assembled it all. We made a double album. It was really I'm only playing on 2 songs. The first person we met was an old guy called Ned Moods.
Used to love me, but you don't no more. You gotta step it up and go. And go. If you wanna get there.
We went into a music shop and he was just sitting on the deck chair. He was about 80. With his glasses on, he was just sitting at the back, and we just went straight up and asked him if he played the guitar. And he did, and he told his son to get his guitar out. And it turned out he'd played in a Western swing band for about 30 years, and he was a band leader when he was 15 years old. And I mean, we captured him on film and playing and stuff like that, and he passed away a couple of years ago. But it was great that, someone like that, I mean, his son was over the moon, that people took an interest in his dad, because he should have got more respect than maybe he did. So, and then went on a trip to meet Etta Baker, she's 89 now. She's the last living Piedmont blues female on the planet. So it's like meeting an ancestor, And we sat and picked with her. I had one picture of her when she was maybe 28 years old, standing outside the house with a Les Paul Jr. Gibson Les Paul Jr. and And it was like meeting an angel, There's so much love in her, and she shared space, and just little things like that.
Tell the story about preaching his funeral, and the daughter of the minister who told me the story said that it was the only time in her life she ever heard her daddy use curse words was when he would describe preaching Charlie Poole's funeral. He said that when he got up and tried to start the service there in the house, the house was packed with friends and family and musicians, he said one of the musicians who was there was drunk. And he said every time I tried to start the service, he'd stand up and start yelling, "Poor old Charlie's dead. Poor old Charlie's gone. What are we going to do? Old Charlie's dead." And she said my father would go over, and her father's real quiet, soft-spoken man. He would pat him on the shoulder and calm him down and set him down in the chair and go back up the front and try to start the service again. And she said my daddy said when I started the service again, said he jumped up and started yelling again. Oh, Charlie's dead. Oh, Charlie's dead. What are we going to do now? Oh, Charlie's dead. And she said my daddy went over and patted on him, got him calmed down, got him back in the chair, and thought he had everything in control. He said he went back up to the front, opened his Bible, and started the service, and said the guy jumped up and said, "But Charlie Poole was a banjo-picking son of a bitch." Right in the middle of the funeral. And said it just broke him up. You know, what else could he say? And she said my daddy used to tell that story and just laugh, and said it was the only time I ever heard him use a curse word in my life when he talked about preaching. And even in death, there was a good story about Charlie Poole. He always, wherever he went, he left a good story in his wake, be he live or be he dead.
Senses or howl I keep, no matter what creed or foul I keep, no matter what souly senses see, I will follow the dream.
The ukulele,
especially in his ear.
Give it here.
I will follow the dream.